Selena Gomez has had a birthday, as us humans tend to have most of the time. She's famous though, so our birthdays will probably never be as cool as hers. But we can recreate the makeup that she wore at her birthday party in today's video. And I know you must be thinking, Lindsay, are you gonna wear a wig like you do in your other funny videos? I don't have a dark wig, but if you subscribe, maybe I could get one. The makeup she wore was really interesting and I had a bit of a rocky start to this look. First up, skin prep. I used the Olay Henriksen Strength Trainer Peptide Boost Moisturizer. Not a replacement for working out. Or is it? I actually really like this moisturizer. It's thick, it's creamy, it feels like a really nice barrier for makeup. The skin was actually quite matte looking and I chose the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. I mixed two shades I have here, Pale and Nude. This foundation I usually love, but it kind of started to act weird over the moisturizer. I'm guessing the two formulas just did not mix. So then instead of the NYX foundation, I went to my tried and true, because I know this always works for me, the Kosas Revealer Skin Improving Foundation. I mixed two shades again. I have 130 here and 120. One is a cool undertone and one is neutral warm. And then I had to use a Rare Beauty product, of course, so I used my Rare Beauty bronzer stick. This is the shade Happy Soul. I love this. It's so creamy and blendable, pigmented, because the skin was really sculpted looking, so I wanted to make sure I really bronze everything up. This is a perfect product for that. And then to amp up the sculptedness even more, I took the Fenty Cream Contour in Amber, which is a very true, cool contour on me. And I just did that a little more precisely under my cheekbones, the forehead, the nose, and a little bit on the jawline, and blended everything out. So this was definitely key in the makeup. Then we had to get rid of the dark circles because that was not a part of Selena's look. Starting with the Exa Beauty Corrector, this is the shade Pink. This is very creamy and emollient. Not my absolute favorite corrector, but I still use it because it's really pigmented and it does the job. And then I topped it with the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. I used the matte version, the shade Light Ivory. It's really full coverage. I wanted that flawless look. Then we had to set everything down right. I took one of my most matte and smoothing powders that I have from Hailey's Beauty, the Retouch Soft Focus Finishing Powder. Also really great for photography. I put this under my eyes and then did it all over my face as well to set down that really emollient foundation and also the other cream products that we had on. Didn't want anything slipping around. Standouts in the makeup look was this really peachy orange blush that she had on, but it was really specifically placed only on the very tops of the cheekbones. So I went in with the Bareminerals Blonzer in Kiss of Pink. I didn't want to go too orange because it's not super flattering on me personally, but it looks so good on her. And then I made sure to just apply at the very tops of the cheekbones. You can even blend it in sort of into your eye socket and it just gives you a super lifted look. And I definitely avoided the apples of the cheeks. I just kept it right on those back of the cheekbones. And although the skin was matte, I noticed, especially on the center of her nose, she actually had a really gorgeous highlight going on. So I went into this Dior glowy palette. I have the shade Universal, and I took this lightest white gold shade, and I just did that on the tops of my nose. I also did a little bit on the cheeks because I wanted it to be a little bit glowier. This is where things got even more fun, is the eye look that she had. The shape that was created is really interesting, so I tried to replicate it. First, using these, which I think are the key. These are like little contour sticks for your eyes. They're amazing. They're from Make Beauty, the eye shaping stylos. I started off with this cool tone. The shade is Altitude, and I put it basically where I would usually put a transition shade, so sort of on the outer corner and then also on the inner corner of the eye, because the darkest points of the makeup were the outer corners. She also had this definition on the inner corner, which is really interesting. I haven't really seen a lot of makeup looks like that. After that, I also went in with another shade. This one is called Shore, which is a little bit lighter and is slightly more warm. The eye look was actually quite cool tone, but I wanted to mix in some more neutral shades as well. And these are an amazing base for the rest of the eyeshadow. They stay on so well. They dry down and they do not leave your eyelids. If you have oily eyelids, like you get creases a lot, these you don't have to worry about that at all. So I felt like it was perfect for this party makeup look. And then I had to enlist the help of our friend Makeup by Mario for this look. This is the Master Mattes palette. Absolutely love this. These are perfect for really defining and shaping the eye. I started off with this lighter brown. Again, this is more of like a neutral warm shade. I spent a lot of time blending, going over and defining the areas, and then gradually moving into the deeper shades to add even more definition, focusing on the outer corner and that little inner arch that we have. But I did want to cool down the look a little bit more, so I grabbed one of my other favorite palettes, the Stone Cold Fox palette from Colourpop. And I took this shade, which is called Bold Type, which is a very muted sort of grayish shade, and I thought this would be perfect to go over the contour work that we did on the eyes. These are all matte shades, by the way, so I blended that in over the shadow sticks. Then I also moved into a slightly darker shade called Cult Classic. Has slight more warmth to it, but it's still very like neutral, stony color. Then to create that really interesting upwards cut crease that she had going on, I used this One Size powder foundation. They just came out with this shade called Stage White, which is a pale girly. I was so excited. I purchased it immediately. And yes, I used this on my eyes. So I took a flat brush and I took it from the inner corner and then I cut it in a diagonal up to my brow bone. It's not a full cut crease. It's really interesting to describe. Hopefully you can tell on camera what I did, and also took this on the brow bones to lift everything even further. This is also great to use underneath of the shadow that we were really creating. If it gets too blended out, take a sharp brush and then just clean up those edges for a really nice winged shape. Now it was time to get into the liner, which was pretty heavy in this look. I believe it was black, but I decided to use a deep brown. The Make Beauty Continuum Waterproof Gel Eyeliners. This one is the shade Nebula, which is just a matte brown. I pretty heavily did this on my inner waterline. I also blended it out on the lower lash line, where I also put those shadows. For the top lash line liner, I went back into the Stone Cold Fox palette and took a deep brown called Drama Mama. Also me, and I smoked that out on the lash line using a liner brush. Didn't look like she had like really any sharp winged liner. It was a very smoky lifted look, so I didn't want to use anything liquid, and I built that up and then again dragged out into the winged shape to prep for our lashes. The shape of the lashes was a really interesting focal point of this look. It was very, very focused on the outer half of the eyes, playing into this very lifted look. So I went in with my Maybelline Sky High Mascara, really focused on the outer corners, and also I did it in a diagonal motion so the lashes would actually take on that shape. Then I used these Kiss So Wispies. I do cut these in half. The ones she had on were slightly more voluminous than this, but I liked the more wispy look that these ones had. So if you have any lashes, you could really easily create that outer corner look that she had by just cutting these in half or even shorter than that into like sort of forced, and then layering them on the outer corners only. And I used the Duo little paint on glue. That's kind of boring. I don't know if you care, but I thought I'd mention it. In the pictures, it looks like her lips were glossy initially maybe and sort of wore off during the night. Some of the pictures, the lips look matte, and then other ones, they were clearly glossy. So I did sort of a combination of the two and went with a satin lip. But one thing I noticed was the lip liner was very clearly darker than the actual lip shade. So I went in with this House of Sillage. It's their lip liner. This is the taupe shade, which was a really nice contour shade for my lips. And then I slightly overlined them in a nice pouty shape. That was such a weird voice. And then I thought this Victoria Beckham Girl lipstick was a really great, almost shade dupe, not quite, a little more flattering on me. Hers was, again, it was very light and peachy. This is quite a peachy shade on me, and it has a satin glowy finish, so it's sort of like a lipstick and gloss in one, since I couldn't decide, was it matte or was it a glossy lip? I also took this other new product from One Size Beauty, which is their Ultra Pink Powder. If you want a review on this and if it works on fair skin, let me know. I cleaned up the fallout with this and then also sort of just did it as a transition shade between the blush and the concealer, which also helps to add to the lifted look. And then just did a little bit on my nose and my chin. I like this just to add like a slight accent of color. I think it's kind of unnecessary, but it also adds like a very detailed look to the makeup. And now ready to party. I loved how this look came out. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video. Give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Most importantly, don't forget to watch this next video so we can keep hanging out. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.